Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Hey everybody, it's Jake. Welcome to episode 25 of Instigate Success, building an ABA franchise. We'll go over all your Instigators news here, take a little preview at the game upcoming this week as well. Thank you guys again for joining us. I hope you all had an amazing New Year's. I know mine was a little hectic, so I was at the game on Saturday, this past week. So then Sunday was New Year's Eve. The holidays always get me a little mixed up with as far as what day it is of the week. But yeah, so New Year's Eve, I drove from Indiana back to Pennsylvania. That's where I'm from, and celebrated New Year's Eve with some family there. And then for those of you who know me in the past, I have like a little project car up there, and I drove that back all the way from Pennsylvania to Florida, and surprisingly, it made that all the way there. I gotta get it cleaned up a little bit, but if you follow me on social, I'll probably put some pictures of it this weekend. Jakey Muffins on most socials, and I think Instagram is Jake the MVF. But yeah, so that car made it down there. It's a fun little car. I've mentioned it in the past. It's a red car. It's a '93 Dodge Stealth with almost 230,000 miles. So I was made it almost 1,000 mile trip, which was fun. But it's got all sorts of mods on it, PS2 on the inside. But just a fun little car. Just a side note, hope you all had a great New Year's. Thank you again, Jason, for joining us. And let's jump into this past game. So this week we had our first game with our interim coach, Coach Frosty, as most of us know him, or if you go by his legal name, Corey is his legal name. But he led us this week, and we had a very tough opponent with the Ohio Kings. They are undefeated entering that game, and they remained undefeated after the game as well. Uh, Positive note, we did have a pretty good run to start the game, and we were pretty competitive, at least in the first half. I know we were tied at one point. I think it was like 45-45, I believe, in the second quarter. Um, we kind of had some stuff clicking at that point, and then just kind of like a couple of runs strung together on the Kings. They were hitting just about every shot, and they were moving the ball extremely fast down the court. And all those points added up in the end, and um, that final score is our largest defeat of the season. Um, but again, I'll reiterate, the Kings are still an undefeated team. I'm interested to see when they have a game go up against the Lions, like once they have a game on the record book at least, to see who can come out as a victor in that one. Especially, I think they're right up there with the Lions. I mean, the Lions have been the number one team in the power rankings. I haven't seen them in person. I do plan on going to the 20th game of this month at home when we play the Lions. So I'll have a little bit of a different perspective to compare those two. And but as far as the games that I have seen us play, the Kings were by far the best team that I've seen on the court against us. Um, and yeah, Jason mentions this. At least the Kings didn't score 200. There was a game the Kings had earlier in the season where they scored, I believe there might have been two games over 200. I know one of them was like 202 to 88. So that was over a 100-point margin of victory. So to put that in perspective, 50-ish point margin of victory for them, that's nowhere near their largest margin of victory in this season alone. Um, but we did have if you hadn't joined us the past game prior to this one, we did have two new players join, and both of them had some playing time this past week. Zacharias Millhouse, number 2, and Chris Wampler, number 10. So it was nice again to see some extra bodies on the court. You know, we have a bunch of guys on the team, but we always like to keep some fresh legs out there, especially when we go up against teams like the Kings. It's very important to have as many guys well rested as possible, you know, because these teams are it's the ABA. You know, the teams are very fast, and with the rules in the ABA, with the quick inbounds and the 4-point potential with the 3D rule, you always have to be ready at the for any kind of play basically. The quick inbounds was something I didn't realize until kind of probably a couple games into the season, but like the rest can kind of just like let you check the ball in as soon as you take possession of the ball. That's something a little bit different compared to some of the other basketball games I've watched. Typically the ref checks the ball, gives it back to the player to check it back in, but there's circumstances that allow for quick inbounds, and a lot of times you can try to like cherry pick, throw it all the way down court if you see the defense hasn't transitioned down there. Um, and a lot of times that's what happens with these runs is players get tired and it just leaves the defensive holes. And these guys can hit shots. So I mean, like the Kings were draining threes, they hit some major dunks. Um, and like once they get on runs, the ABA is a very streaky league from what I've seen this season. And we're now, I believe, halfway through our inaugural season, which is pretty crazy to think. And we're just turning the corner for the new year, so 2024. We still have half of our season left. We're looking forward to getting 2024 started off on a good note. Again, Frosty will be our coach for this week, and he is looking to hopefully add the first win to his coaching career record. And I don't think we had any player of the week vote up as far as I'm aware for this past game. So I don't believe we had anything to go over as far as that goes. We did have a couple of posts if you follow us on our social. So this was one of our Facebook posts. I kind of screen cropped it. So it's about our program. We're looking for some volunteers and interns, especially those that can be there in person for our home games at the Clinton CRC in Clinton, Indiana. I know typically on game day, we have a handful of people that run just about everything. Unfortunately, me living in Florida, I'm not able to make it to every home game. I really wish I could. As far as that goes, scheduling makes it so that I can make it to pretty much every Saturday game. However, Sunday games are very difficult for me to make it to in person. So this week, again, I will be remotely running the show, basically, joining the stream and hosting that. So it's always nice to see it from that side as well. Even when I'm in person in the venue, I'll still run the stream and stuff. So I'm back here on like the back side of stuff, making sure everything's running good. But I'll get to watch it the same way you guys are. And I know if there was any like split seconds in this past game where the camera kind of like forgot to follow the ball, that was probably me. But we're looking for some volunteers. So, and if you see on that post we have, uh, the perk that you get for it, not only to have this on your resume and to be involved with a professional team in the ABA, the Hoosier State Instigators, you can throw that on the resume. I'm sure that looks amazing. But we have, you can get a basketball. So you can get a free basketball if you join our volunteer and intern program. And we have on our website, our apexofsports.com. That website is our website for the AAC. And we have information on just about everything on there. We recently updated it. There's a couple of new tabs that you'll see at the top, one of which is this intern and volunteer uh, opportunities. So if you just do apexofsports.com/interns, you can get a direct link to that, or you can just go on apexofsports.com and go through our webpage, and you'll see the new tab that says Get Involved. We have the fan voters to join our Patreon, which is how you can watch streams like this, as well as our live game streams, and support your instigators. And then right underneath that, we have volunteers and interns. You can click on that. It'll get you to this page as well. And this is the top part of the page. Underneath, we have a little bit more of a detailed description as far as everything entailed in the internship and volunteer program. Basically, if you're over 16 and you're looking to be involved with a basketball team, this is a great opportunity for you, especially for those of you that live in Clinton, Indiana, or nearby surrounding areas. But we have a multitude of different things that you can do. If you want to take the stats, be the score table, stat keeper, that's definitely something we can use. PA announcer, if you want to practice some of your skills on the microphone, maybe hype the crowd up a little bit. Not too much that we get a technical, but definitely get the fans involved, just as we have in every home game. Uh, same as this week, same as every week I've gone. It's an amazing atmosphere when you go to those home games. We actually, I don't know if the stream caught this past week, but I think there was a point in the game where the ref actually told one of our fans, you know, be a little bit quieter. They were very loud this week. You know, we can't really control the refs, so I can't really comment on any of the stuff as far as that goes. But it was cool to see, like, our fan base is so into the game that even the refs kind of recognize that, which is a pretty cool thing to see. So um, got the announcer, concessions tickets we can always use help with. That way we get as many people in the door and taken care of. Attendance, videographers. I know with Frosty running the team for now as the coach, we can definitely use some extra set of hands as far as that goes. Um, and if you got a nice phone or a nice camera and you want to show off some of your skills, we would definitely love to have you take some pictures. I know the first couple of games we had some pretty nice pictures from some photographers, and we would definitely like to add some more to our reel and share those out on our socials. And that's a great way to build your own portfolio as well. Have some uh, experience as far as that goes for your portfolio on photos, videos, and whatnot for sports. And I'll be honest, the one game I did attend in, I think, Louisville or Nashville. I think it was Nashville, actually, now that I think back. I think it was Nashville. I was actually our quote unquote photographer for that game. And I will tell you, it's very difficult to take pictures of like live sports. The video is a little bit easier, I think, because it captures motion a little bit better. But when you're trying to take a picture and it's like you've got somebody like AB jumping up, catching an alley oop and dunking, that happens within maybe a second. So you're watching, you're trying to take a picture, and you're clicking the camera. You kind of have to click it like several times to get a good frame to go back and watch that. So uh, props to everybody that does that stuff. They're amazing at that. We also are looking to add some halftime and pregame performers. We would love to add some more performers as far as that goes. Typically at halftime, what we have been doing, and I think we'll continue doing, unless we have anything, for performances, is we let the kids go out on the court and shoot around the basketball. It's kind of like a tradition at this point, which is a pretty cool thing. And I know our man Spacely, he does a great job at commentating with all the kids shooting the ball around at halftime. I know he's really eager to get some of them contracts once they're a little bit older. He definitely does an amazing job with commentating on that. We have an amazing fan base that comes out to all of our games. And for that next upcoming game, we have a matchup against the Indiana Legends, and that is this Sunday, the 7th at 3 p.m. Again, it's at the Clinton CRC, our home venue. You see, I have the red letters there. We do have a contest after the game. So if you're at the venue at the game, we are holding a contest. It's a $3 entry, and we'll have a winner for both adults and kids. And it's not a shirt shooting contest. You're shooting the basketball, but you win a shirt. So you win an Instigator shirt if you win the shooting contest that we're holding after the game. So it's a nice way to get in, you know, not only get on the court, but kind of have some bragging rights. You'll get an Instigator shirt, and you'll be able to tell some people like, "Hey, I got this shirt because I'm the best basketball shooter at the Instigators game this past week." So that's a pretty cool thing that you have to uh, an opportunity to join this week. Um, we do these little videos. I figure I'll run this here to give you guys a little bit of a preview for the upcoming game this week. We typically run these on social as well, and sometimes before the games during the broadcast here. But we have a little promo video for this upcoming game. I'll run. It's only about 30 seconds, and I'll join you guys here to give some more insight. So there's a little bit of a matchup preview for this upcoming weekend. And if you happen to notice, I did throw in a couple of the players there. Obviously, AB, he's got probably the best picture, pose, whatever you want to call it, for the Instigators. And it seems like that's the picture and pose that we use for a lot of our stuff, especially if you've been partaking in the FCSE votes on the app. So on the app, the fan controlled sports and entertainment app, I believe it's called the Control app now. We have weekly picks where you can vote on Instigators outcomes. Normally, we have winner of the game, total points scored, Instigators points, as well as some of our player props. Depending on the week, we might have like AB blocks, AB rebounds, Dylan's points. I know a lot of times we do Lawan's Swish's 3-point shots. I know we've had Chuck's points on there, Joe's points, a bunch of different guys. But if you're involved with any kind of kind of sports betting type of thing, it's not for real money, but it's for coins and possibly control tokens in that app. So if you join the FCSE, I believe it's fcse.xyz, gets you a link to the Control app. And on that app, just we do votes every game day, and you can wager coins. You get like a fan Vitar, and they have some mini games on there, but you can use those coins to level up your players in the golf game as well as the racing game, or to get your guys some cool little fan Vitar like merchandise in the game as well. But yeah, so like if you do that, so I gave you a little bit of a preview as far as the stats go for the teams. The Legends are still looking for their first win. The Instigators are halfway through the season now. We are 2-6, and our point differential really got kind of thrown out a little bit by the past game. The 50 points differential in that did make it. So we're averaging less points than less points scored than we allow. Prior to that game last week, we were actually averaging, I believe, 117 and a half or so to 116 and a half allowed. So we were actually, even though we had a losing record, we were scoring more points than we are allowing. 50-point differential definitely kind of throws that a little bit out. But we are averaging more points per game than the Legends, and we have a better record than the Legends. So really looking forward to this matchup. I think this can kind of be like a get right game. And I'm really hoping that it can be the first game to add in the win column for Frosty. I think we had a little bit of a better rotation schedule for this past week. I know we had a lot more guys on the floor. Um, I'm kind of in the mindset where we kind of just want to have whoever has fresh legs, especially against a lot of the teams we run against. They're very fast teams, and you kind of just have to make sure you have guys that are full energy. If you ever play like 2K or a bunch of the other games, I know like even NFL Street, I'm a little bit old school when it comes to that. There's like a little stamina bar. I think they still do that in like even 2K nowadays. I think like it shows you a little Gatorade cup if your guy's out of energy. But yeah, you have to make sure you guys are full of stamina. Otherwise, they get slowed down, and the pace that we play at is going to slow down, but the other teams don't always slow down. If that happens, whatever team is running faster typically is the one that will get the runs. We had a couple of runs actually in the past week, and that was what brought us to that tied point at one point, the 45-45. Unfortunately, those runs just didn't continue as we went. Another thing is if you if you saw that little intro video that I had, we do have I went off on a rant here, but that's what I was leading to. So we had AB on the one side. On the other side, on the Legends side, you might have seen a familiar face. That's actually Yogi Anderson. So he joined the Legends. He was originally on our roster to start the season. So it'll be a little bit of like a I don't know if it's a homecoming game per se, but he's coming back to the Clinton CRC. So I'm sure he's definitely looking to kind of ball out this week. But nothing but love to Yogi. He's a great dude, and we talked it over, and we mutually parted ways, but no hard feelings at all. Great dude, and I hope he does have a great game this week. However, I still hope we have the victory on our end. So that'll be a cool kind of storyline to watch. That's going to be the first time, at least that I'm aware of, that we've had one of our former players going up against us. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. So number 3 for the Legends, Yogi Anderson, former Hoosier State Instigator. And I'm sure the guys on our team are going to play him a little extra hard and got a little bit more practice time against him. So that's always a little bit of a nice advantage for both us and I guess for them as well, as far as that goes. Um, but I think we've got a pretty good matchup coming up. I mean, no game is easy in this league. We've seen that. The Aces were a tough matchup, and I know the Pros were a tough matchup. And I think the Pros actually, when we played them the first time at that point, didn't have any wins on their record either. So just because a team hasn't won yet doesn't mean they're capable of winning. We saw Louisville wind up winning against us, and then they went on to win a couple more games as well. So some teams are just a little bit late bloomers, so it's definitely something we got to watch out for as well. But I'm really hoping this is kind of like our get right game as far as that goes. Again, the shooting contest after the game, that is going to be pretty fun. I'm hoping, I think we should still have the camera on for that afterwards. But I'm definitely interested in seeing how that turns out as well. Maybe if Spacely's still around for that after the game, he could commentate on that too. I know, like I said, he does the halftime with the kids on the court. But I'm sure whoever winds up winning that, especially on the adult side, maybe we'll see how that goes if they want to join the Instigators in the future. Um, but that's a nice little extra extra activity that we've got going on this week. I know in the past we had Santa at the game for the holiday season. So not only do you get the enjoyment of the Hoosier State Instigators basketball game, we do try to throw some special entertainment in there as well from time to time. Um, we unfortunately aren't the Flint Tropics, so we're not going to have Jackie Moon out there dancing on the court. However, I did maybe hear or try to start a rumor. I don't think it went through that we could get Frosty to be on the team, suit up for one of these games. I'm not really sure if that's going to happen, but I tried to start that rumor this past week, so we'll see if that happens. Um, but he suits up. If any of you are familiar with Semi Pro, Jackie Moon is the owner, coach, and player. And that's what I was trying to see if we could toss that around and see if Frosty could pull off all three as well, even if it's just for a couple minutes. And maybe he could do some of Jackie Moon's plays. He's got an amazing play where he goes down low and he ask for the ball, pass me the ball, pass me the ball, and then he throws it back and forth. It's a pretty funny movie if you haven't seen it. Um, and I see this in the comments here. Spacely, I know for sure he would definitely want to suit up. If he was our coach, that would definitely be something he would want to do. I know logistically he's a little bit further away, but maybe we could get him to suit up as well. Uh, I know he's thrown us out there, and if I could make it to a game and we get some more of our owners out there, we can all maybe do like a one-on-one type of thing, which would be probably pretty cool. Um, like do a 21 type of thing. So definitely something we could throw out there. Um, Oh yeah, and then that's a great signature move as well. The Monopoly money. I know if you guys have watched us from the beginning for the Instigate success, that was one of the signature things that Spacely did um, in our Instigate success podcast. So, but yeah, and yeah, we do have amazing players on this team. None of us, we're definitely not anywhere near the talent level of the players on the team. We just kind of joke around as far as that goes. Um, but I know Spacely did say the first time I think he met AB, he was actually looking down at him. He got lucky and was standing at a much higher level than AB, and if he was at that level, um, then maybe we would have a very good shot of him suiting up and performing closer to the level of our players. Um, but yeah, we've got a great game coming up. This again is part of our home stretch. We have, I believe it was double checking that, 5 home games in a row. This one is our third one, so we have 2 more following after this. This week, again, January 7th on Sunday against the Indiana Legends. Following week, we have the Nashville Aces at home on the 14th. And then the 20th, I mentioned this earlier, is our home game against the Lions. That's going to be a great matchup. I know we had a very tight matchup the first time we played against the Lions. And with them being the #1 ranked team in the ABA, it's always a great way to kind of like see where we rank as far as the whole entire ABA goes. Over 125 teams in the whole ABA, and according to Power Rankings, that's the #1 team. We were hanging with them for that whole first game. We didn't wind up coming out with the victory, but that showed just about everybody that we are definitely a team capable of competing at the top level in the ABA. And our schedule makers did a great job of getting a 3-game series against the Lions, and we also played the Lions. That's going to be an away game for our final game of the season. That's all the way at the end of February. So at the end of the season, we'll have 3 games against the Lions to kind of see who gets the rights as against the Legends too. But who's going to have the bragging rights for the state of Indiana. There's quite a few teams there. So we've got the Indiana Lions, the Indiana Legends, obviously your Hoosier State Instigators, and hopefully we'll be calling it the Hoosier State at the end of the year. It's a little bit cooler than just calling it Indiana. So we got that going. And then after that January 20th game, we returned back on the road and we'll actually be playing against the Legends again. Um, then again on the road against the Kings. We have one more home game following this five home game stretch. And that should be against the Illinois Bulldogs. I believe that's the only matchup we have against them on our schedule this year. Then we finish up on the road against the Louisville Pros, who we've had a couple of tough matchups against. Uh, and the Lions is again our last game of the season. But if you look at our schedule, that is, yeah, that puts us right down the middle. We're halfway through the season. So our instigators halfway through the season are 2-6. Maybe not the record we were looking for. Uh, both of our wins coming against the Southland Saints, but it has shown that we are capable of winning in the ABA. And even the games we haven't won, aside from this past week, we've been very close and had very, very good competition. So it shows that we definitely, even though we're in our first season, belong here in the ABA. Um, we're still looking to kind of get on that win streak. I think all of our wins have been sporadic, so we haven't pulled together a streak of wins yet. But this game against the Legends could definitely be a start of our first win streak. So hoping that we can get that win streak to wrap up our home games here and continue that as we go on the road towards the end of January and throughout February. And then we can get a better idea of the playoff picture as we get closer to the end of the season. Um, at this point, I mean, with 2-6, definitely going to have to be a little bit room for improvement to get ourselves deeper in a playoff run. And I know we've mentioned this in the past. The championship, I believe, is in Alabama. So I would love if we could go to Alabama. It's a lot closer of a drive for me here in Florida. And I have already promised this both to players, staff, everybody involved, my fellow AAC members and owners. Um, if the Instigators are able to make it to the championship here and win, and this goes for this season or any future seasons, I have the logo tattooed here on my chest for the Instigators. I will add championship and the year, as well as like if there's a championship logo to that tattoo. I'll throw that underneath the tattoo that I currently have. So it's another little incentive for our players to win that championship this year. So that's another thing for them. But always great to go there in person. If you are anywhere near Clinton, Indiana, or if you just have a bunch of free time for whatever reason and feel like traveling out to Clinton, Indiana, highly recommend it. Every home game has been amazing. We have amazing fans at the game, and they really get into it. And again, if you have some kids, bring them. They can go out on the court at halftime, enjoy themselves, see what it's like to, be on the court that the Instigators play on, and have a chance to win a free shirt after the game, and also get bragging rights as far as the shooting contest goes. So, handful of reasons to go to the game this week. Um, and I think that wraps up just about all the news I had for this week. For your Instigators, halfway through the season, you know, definitely a lot that we have learned. So I mean, that's a positive in itself. Um, being in our first season here, there's a lot of things that we're learning on the fly. Now with Frosty being the coach, that's another thing, that we're learning on the fly as we go. Um, and we're really hoping that we can get the first victory in his coaching column. And that's going to be a great bragging right if we are able to do that on our the friends with the FCSE, our family as we call them over there, FANMILY. And we can kind of have a little bit of some more bragging rights, being like, hey, Frosty just coached a professional basketball team to their first win. I know, like over on that side, we all are familiar with calling plays and essentially being a coach for fan-controlled football. There still technically was a coach per se on the roster for the team, but the fans called the plays. So Frosty and I both come from that, as well as Spacely. And Frosty and I were both MVFs, so the top fans for our teams. So he can add that to his resume, which would be pretty awesome. And I know that's definitely something they would love on that side as well. So if you're not able to make it to the game in person, we'll always be streaming the games live here on our Patreon. Thank you to all of our subscribers, and you can come and join us for the live game stream. Join us in the chat. Message your fellow Instigator fans, and we'll try to provide you the best live commentary possible and the best live stream here possible as well. Thank you guys again for your support of the Instigators. And always, until next time, be great and instigate.